1, 2, 3, 4, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, testing. Testing. My regular paper is in the shop tonight, so for the next week. Thursday I'm not learning. I'm going to be out of town Thursday. Monday I hope we'll be back. Pasha will. We are on Daf Chavtes Ma'al for the bottom. Last or Isar, the second line from the bottom. Rabbi Yochanan Pasach. Rabbi Yochanan open. Now here's a lot of, according to the Shai Torah Seretz Yisrael, it seems right. There's a lot of distortion in this last line here. Rabbi Yochanan Pasach should be bitahus. He opened passive another with tahus, which means literally astonishment, and that means charota. As opposed to Pesach, he used charota. And it's the next word should be ilulei. It says you repeat ilulei, he takes out the vav. Ilulei do, and then he changes the next three words considerably. It should be ilulei do yodis, where you to have known the toys, so you would have regret the neder. Neither have us. Would you have made the neder? And that, if the person would say no, had I known that I would have had remorse, I would not have made the neder. So that charota is sufficient to be to allow the neder to be annulled. Says Martos lo knolad, the knoladu isn't toast like nolad. In other words, we have the next Mishnah, we have a concept, we haven't seen it yet, that one cannot be matir neder based on circumstances which arose after time elapsed. That's be a circumstance which was inherent in the neder at the time that it was taken. So therefore, it would seem that charata, subsequent remorse, is not inherent in the neder when the neder is taken, so therefore how can it serve as the basis to be matir neder? It's something new. So Rabbi Hillel said not true, it's not something new. Atos Mitsuya. Charata, remorse over the neder, regret, is prevalent, and therefore it's dormant, but it's present at the time that the neder is already taken. And we have a story like this. Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rebbe, Lomatza Pesach L'Nitro. You're going to find an opening for his neder which he made. Ad Shepah Echad Miziknei Golil, until one of the elders of the Golil came. Eastam in some say Shimon Elazar, and some say it was Shimon Elazar who did it. Havanasale Mikah Mukim La Mikah. So he caused him great anguish. He moved him. He took him from one place and put him in another place. Nasale Mikah took him to another place. Mukim La put him in the first place. Until he was in the middle of the sun. But when I was constantly beating his clothes to keep away the mosquitoes or whatever other bugs that were there. So there Shimon said, "No, Ilo Yisio Yodea, were you to have known that I ain't Sabbath, this old man," meaning he himself, Avalach Cain, would do this to you, no there Hayis, would you have taken the neder? Amar alone, so he said to him, "No, I certainly would not." B'shorele. It was not on this basis. So this is clearly charota, right? Because this is not to do with the neder itself. It's obviously it has remorse because this old man, Roshim Ben Elazar, caused him anguish and made him move from the sun to the shade, and from the shade to the sun, until he got all buggy. So therefore, this case charata, yet we see that charata is sufficient in order to be matir neder. So again, Pesach is in the actual neder itself. There was something there, which later on obviously became exacerbated. Charata, where there was nothing in the neder itself, but because of the circumstances which developed, he regrets having taken the neder to begin with. Okay?
It's similar to the Bible, right?
Oh, it's very similar to the Bible. Yeah, it's very similar. Right? But past charata seem to do the same thing. Says the Gemara, Armon Minol Chada. So they asked Rosh Hashanah, how did you know this chap? You know this way of being matir neder. Amar Alon, so he said, Mishoris Meir Haisi, but Baruch Hushni, I was the servant of Shamash or Meir when he fled a second time from Eretz Yisrael. I don't remember exactly who times were, but he did flee, I guess, twice. And we're around the Bnei Moshe. Things are down. The first time he fled when he got smicha by Rav Yehuda ben Bava, and the Romans had decreed that nobody should get smicha at the side time. And the second time he fled when his wife Bruder committed suicide, so he fled out of embarrassment. He left the Eretz Yisrael. So those are the two times that he left the Eretz Yisrael. So the second time he went, the Rav Shimon Loza was his Meshores, and that's how he learned this patent, this trick. He started some say Maklo Shemer Haisa B'Yadi. He said Meir's rod was in my hand, meaning that he was the Mashbiach explains it wasn't a magical staff, rather he was the every guy is supposed to have a shoter, right? A policeman who enforces the law. So you said I was Meir's policeman, I was his enforcer. And being medically there, the fact that I was fulfilling that job, that's where I learned knowledge. Rabbi Yirmiyah Shari Nidra. Rabbi Yirmiyah used to be Matir Neder, yet after he was Matir Neder Mekayim, he still fulfilled the Neder. In other words, he wanted to be Matir Neder unless he couldn't fulfill, but then afterwards he would attempt to fulfill nonetheless. Because he was afraid that people won't know that he was Matir Neder, or because she'ein. I'm sorry. I messed up. It might be because he was not certain that the guy was Matir Neder if he did it properly. Lo yadim, we don't know if that's the reason. Or maybe it's a tactic because the Yetzer Hara only wants things which are also to it. But once you make the things mutzah for the Yetzer Hara by being Matir Neder, so then the Yetzer Hara doesn't pursue you anymore that much because Yetzer Hara wants to do his surim, not things which are mutzah to you. So therefore, in order to keep his neder, he would Matir the neder because there's no more Yetzer Hara, to go against the neder. So we don't know if it's because of the quality of the Torah, which he did not like, or because the only reason why he's Matir to begin with is because he wanted to get out of the Yetzer Hara issue, but of course he wanted to fulfill whatever neder he had taken. Says more further, we know what the reason is. Rabbi Yirmiyah love a boy Medu. Rabbi Yirmiyah, when he didn't want to judge. So the Mashbiach takes out the word kat, because kat means when he didn't want to judge. It sounds like sometimes he did judge, and sometimes he used the excuse we're about to give. So Mashbiach doesn't like that he made up an excuse whenever he didn't want to judge. So therefore he takes the word kat, which means Rabbi Yirmiyah never judged because of what he's about to say. What he's about to say. Omar, he said, my eyes are dark. In other words, my eyesight is not so good. And it says, PM Yeko Riv V'chonaga. Based on the mouths, the say-so of the Dayanim will be, or the Kohanim actually, but the Kohanim or Dayanim will be all disputes and all negatzaras. Ikish Riv and the Goyim. So there's a linkage drawn between disputes and taras. It says it's got to be towards the eyes of the Kohen. I would just be able to see it. Even so, to the disputes, they have to be to the eyes of the Kohen. Raimana took a neder, so therefore he didn't want to judge when his eyesight was no good. Raimana Nodar Milchama, the Apoi. And Nona took a neder not to drink his father's wine. Asa boy, so his father came to spend time with him. Amar Lei, and his father said to Raimona, I think his father was Rabbi Yonah. I don't remember exactly, but I think that's the case. Amar, he said, he said that the enemy started. Were you to know that I would have anguish because you don't drink my wine? No, there you said, would you have taken the neder? Amar Lei lo. He said, no, I would not take the neder. Bishar Lane, and his father's not the neder for him. So it says, what are we talking about? If he's asking his own wine on his father, not his father's wine upon himself, but his own wine on his father, Hadahi the Yamar, in this case, we don't allow the neder to actually even take effect to begin with. Because in this case, we have a Kaloi Terese Halacha, which I don't think is in the Bibli. Dom Rabbi Yaakov Barach, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman, Rabbi Yehuda. And so, Kovinas Rabbein Shiozo Nasar, we compel the son to feed the father. So therefore, it's like Masna Mashkosa B'Torah. You can't take a neder against that which the Torah says explicitly. The Torah says you must feed your father, right? So, in Elakinachem, what are we talking about here? Rather, the guy forbids his father's sano upon himself. And if the father comes and says, yes, but it caused me anguish, and the son says, were I to know you, it was caused you anguish, I would not have taken the neder, so then that, of course, is a valid way of undermining the neder. It's a Pesach. Ramana sold another. Ramana took a neder of himself, Gabi Rabbi Shemi. And he went there to Rabbi Shemi to Matir Neder. And Rabbi Shemi used the following Pesach. Or maybe it's Charoto. Ilu Yisir Der Shabrios Rachim Minoch. We used to know the people would stay away from you. They would distance themselves from you. The At Nadran, because you're a person who's susceptible to making no Nedarim. Would not that be so? Would you take a neder under those circumstances? Amalei Losi said, no, it's definitely not. Had I known it would give me a bad name, I would never have taken the neder. The Shar Lani was Mati was neder for him. Okay? So these are Pesachim and Charotas which work. One of Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Lezer said as well, Pesachim and Nolan, even if the Pesach was not inherent in the neder at the time it was taken, the same which happened later on, that's enough, that's good enough, it's considered to be a Pesach. The Chachamim forbid that. It has to be a Pesach which is inherent in the neder at the time it was taken. Ketzah, what's an example? Amar Konam Sheni Nana Lish Ploni. Person said, took an oath not to write any benefit for a certain individual. Benasa Sofer, and that individual then became a Talmid Chacham, Sofer. Oshem Masis Beno Bekar, or the guy was going to make a big lavish wedding. They wanted to attend the wedding, right? So under those circumstances, we ask him, Amar, you said there should not the Sofer. Were you to have known you become a Talmid Chacham? Oshem Masis Beno Bekar, but they was going to marry off his son very soon. Loi said no there. In that case, we're making an so that we can matter the neder for you. Similarly, if a person took a neder not to enter a house, Vinasa base of Knesses, and then became a shul in that house, became a shtibel, right? It was in Peterson Park, it became a shtibel. Armalei, they said, Ilu Avisi Yodea, Shunasa base Knesses, and the guy says, were I to have known that it was going to become a shul, Lois, you know that I've never taken such a neder, so I've left him out here. Realize the whole, even though it's no lot, it's legitimate, even though it's going to happen later on, is that sufficient? The Chachamim say it's not sufficient. It has to be something which is inherent there at the beginning, and not that sometime later became a shul.
That's what
Shmuel. Okay. Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Shimon Levi. How do we know this line is in the Bible? It's basically almost the only line in the Bible. A couple of lines later, but most of the lines here are independent in Yerushalmis. Levi said, "Mi Moshe Lam Rabbi Lezer." Moshe is the source proof opposed to Noah, because Kodesh Baruch Hu opposed Posach Lo B'Noah. Opposed to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Where so? Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu, Kodesh Baruch Hu. Baruch said, you took a neder to stay by your father-in-law's house. That's true, by Yisrael. But were you to have known, were you to have known that all the people who are quest your death died? No doubt, would you have still taken the neder? Now, the more parenthetically asked, were they dead? But it doesn't they weren't dead. And the Yerushalmi the same, they lost their property, which is like death. Now, so in any event, that's the case where Posach Manolah. Now, Omar B'Yim said, that's Omar. Ad Shalo, this is going back on our Mishnah. Our Mishnah talks about what about the case where a guy became a Talmid Chacham later in life. So we said that that's a machlokas, whether Posach Manolah or not Posach Manolah, right? Now, Rabbi Yirmiyah has a machlokas here with Rabbi Yossi. And here too, The Shari so makes big changes in Girsa, which it seems are necessary. Okay, I'm Rabbi Yirmiyah, now said as to be nasu dvarim kinoahim, it should be but achalo nasa v'nasa v'varalacha. If this guy, when he took the neder for him, was a total bore ignoramus, he hadn't even discussed halachic issues. So then it's nola later on if he becomes a Talmud Chacham. It's like Panim Chadoshos, right? He was before a bore in Amaretz. But Avol, this is continuing on with his Girsa. Imnasa v'nasa not in Southern Morgo. Imnasa v'nasa b'dvar halacha. If he already have learned a little bit of Dvar halacha, discussed them, ain't to know that's not to be no one. Because already the seeds are planted, there's going to be a Talmud Chacham. Is that clear?
No Pesach.
That is a Pesach.
Wait, it's not. Oh, because he's now a Talmud Chacham, even though he had the seeds before.
No, that's good. That's a Pesach.
Now, is it? Right.
Yeah, because Pesach is where the seeds of undermining the neder were present when the neder was made.
So if he was an ignoramus before, now he's a Talmud Chacham.
Then that's a Noah.
That's a Noah.
Right.
Not a Pesach.
Right. And Noah doesn't work according to Kacham. So it says more again, that's how much low. Nasim Varalacha. Nasim Varalacha ain't so no, it's not Noah. I'm Rabbi Yossi. Again, none of this is in the Gemara. I'm reading it from the Shaitar Sitzro's Kirsa. I'm Rabbi Yossi. I feel Nasim Varalacha, even if he already had shown some indication that he was going to go that direction younger, nevertheless, Kinoila who it's still like Noilach, because Lamaisa he was not a Talmud Chacham at the time, only now is he a Talmud Chacham. So it says Gemara, top of Lam Rabal, Cheder Rabbi Yossi min Hador. What's Rabbi Yossi's proof? That when you couldn't Talmud Chacham, excuse me, even if Shul promises youth, it's considered to be a Panim Chadashos min Hador. From this case. Toast taught Nachum Hamadi. Nachum Hamadi made a mistake. This is a case which actually it's going to be down a couple lines, but we'll say it outside anyway. Nachum Hamadi was one of the last Kohanim Gedolim, or one of the last Shoftim in times of Bayis Rishon. And a bunch of people came down after the Bayis Rishon was destroyed, and they were Nazirim. And they wanted to be makir their korban Naziris, to be parted from Naziris. Problem is, no Beis HaMikdash anymore. So the only way to get them out of being Nazirim is what?
How do you know?
Right, exactly. That's what it's going to discuss.
This is in the Bible.
This is in the Bible? Really? It could be right. It would be himself in Nazir. It could be we did after. Actually, I think it's probably in the Mishnah there, from what it says from the side. So anyway, Matam, he made a mistake. Shapasal and Manola. He organized this story wrong. He used a Nola. Nachamadi said, Eloisim Yana Shabes HaMikdash, Asi Lichar, where you used to have known the base is going to be destroyed. Noidim Ha'yisam Leos Nazirim. Would you have taken oath to become Nazirim? And that, of course, is Nola, because at the time that he took that, there was a base of Mikdash. Rabbi Zera said, no, he could have made into a Pesach, though. How can I have it started from Memrala? What he should have is as follows. Lo Yisem Nodim, didn't you know, Shenivu Lachem Nevi'im, and showed that the original Nevi'im, many years ago, already prophesied, was Mancha Beis HaMikdash Kaim Shasili Chareb, that Beis HaMikdash is going to be destroyed. So that's really a Pesach. It's not a Nolad, because it was already prophesied by Nevuah.
It's like the seeds of the Talmud Chacham.
That's right. So this is the seeds of the Churban. So, so it's a Pesach. That could be the Pesach. No, not a Lola, right? Law of a Kanoah wouldn't be a Noah. Rabbi Yehuda said Odu Kanoah. That still would be a Noah. Yochanan have a Meimar, because they could have said, we knew that there were such prophecies. We thought the Milai Rechoik, it's only going to happen in the distant future. The test of the vision which he which he envisioned for many days in the future. And for distant times, he testified. And so obviously that would make a Noah again, because they wouldn't have believed that would happen in their day. So there'd be Noah, not Pesach. It says more of Asid Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Yirmiyah, who said that we look at the seeds which are there at the beginning, and if God was nosim ba'alocha, so he's already on the path to becoming a Talmid Chacham. That's like Rabbi Zira, who says that the Beis Hamikdash's destruction could be considered to be a Pesach as well, because it was already dormant in the Nevuah. With Rabbi Yossi, who says that it has to be a mistake. Has to be mamish a mistake, which is explicitly involved in this episode, which undermines the neder. So he holds like Rabbi Ila, who says also that the Binyan Beis Hamikdash was considered to be a nolad. Okay, so this is like Rabbi Ila says, Binyan Beis Hamikdash is a nolad. So Rabbi Yossi says, anything which is not imminent is nolad as well. Okay. It says tomorrow, now it says the Tiyatram, which really should be Talmud Nina. We learned over there. Ein mochin in Masechta Megillah. Ein mochin Beis HaKnesses ela al tnai. Only can sell a shul on condition that you can get it back whenever you want, if you want it back. Now, of course, you'd rather not get it back, but they're going to convert it into a church, so you want to get it back instead, right? So that you have to tonight. That makes sense. You build it for the purpose of a shul. That it can't. That you have to do tonight. What if a personal guy built it for himself as his courtyard? And then he made it kodesh. Now, what's its status in halacha? The Shmini Minadol, it's not from here. If a person says, I'm not going to enter this house, but now say Beis HaKnesses becomes a shul, that's a valid transaction. Well, it's not a valid. You can go into the house anyway. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. The Shmini says not going to enter this house. When Nasa basically there comes a shul. Adamara teaches us, if you build a house for a shul, to build a yard, b'kedusha, and you make a kadosh. It's valid kedusha. Emasayu kedusha. When, however, is it kedusha? Miyad, when it's dedicated, or Ushas Tashish, when it's used. I'm making myself clear. I'm probably not making myself clear on this one.
I don't understand the analogy.
We see that something can be a shul afterwards, right?
Yeah, so it becomes...
You build for a chutzner, you build the shul afterwards, right?
So folks, is whether it's becomes a shul when you lock the shit or when you start using it?
Well, whatever it is, so then even if it was built, a shul was built by a regular guy, so then, and as long as it's kosher afterwards, so all the parameters which are mentioned here, you don't sell basically as LL tonight, apply to it as well. If the Beis HaKnesses is built out tonight, I'm not sure, I'm still not sure I'm getting this right here. We're trying to prove that Beis HaKnesses, which was built for some other purpose, is supposed to be sold out tonight, right? That you can't just sell it outright, because I might think, well, it didn't come into existence as a shul; it doesn't have to go out of existence as a shul.
So even if it started out as a secular building.
Here. No, but the point is that now I want to convert it back to a secular building. So that's Gemara's answer. that even if it was originally a secular building, it can't revert back to a
Because
secular building.
in the middle it was a shiur.
That's right.
And so it's Ma'am Kedoshim.
Right. Okay, that's what it says here. Ma'am Kedoshim Moridim. No, it doesn't use that phrase. I just applied it myself. But it says again, Ein Mochrim Tniyat Hamon Ein Mochrim Beis Knesset. Tonight has to be sold in condition. Akli Shabbat Shem Knesset is only this SFB, a shul from birth. So what if he built the for the purpose of a courtyard? The Gdisha, and then he made a Kadosh Ma'al. What's the status? Yishminim and adult. So over here. A person says a kohen is not entering this house. When Nasa Beis Knesset becomes a shul. So when you can enter the house, that means it gets this kedusha later on. But the Amras teaches us also, if you built it for the purpose of a courtyard, afterwards, kedusha, it's a vow kedusha.
Once it goes up on the Mizbeach.
Oh, but the shah is what happens here beforehand. When is it kadosh? Miyad, the moment of designation, or b'shas tashi, from the time you use it. It's actually a machlokas in Sanhedrin among Abai and Rov. If asmona milso lab milso, designation sufficient or actual use consecrates. Shminim adult. So now from here. Also, a table is shame save for somebody who makes a bimot with a sefer down on it, sefer Torah. The pachos and the kirchus shame saver for the purpose of rolling the Torah. Ashlo nishtamish b'hem sefer. Mutar nishtamish. Ashlo nishtamish b'hein sefer. But before you use the sefer as a sefer, mutar ishtansher and a regular guy can use the book for whatever reasons. The ishtansher said once you use the sefer, also ishtamish ben you can't use them for regular purposes. Well, here too, ma'ila shinasu l'shem sefer. Ein hakadosh l'chatzi tashish. These things are made for the purpose of a sefer. Are only mekudosh. When they're actually used. Zusha v'luya l'shem chotzer. Lokoshki, and that thing which is right. He's saying very simply. He's saying if in the case of a sefer Torah where it's built for the purpose of sefer, it's written as a sefer Torah, you still have to wait until you actually use it in order to be considered to be the owner, right? So this case of chotzer, right? Zushva and chotzer lo kosher, it's not Rav Chomer, it only becomes kaddish when you actually when so use it.
Even though you consecrated it, you made it.
Right, that's not sufficient. If you made it with purpose of chulin and then you consecrate them the kodesh, but you still need a ma'isa. If it's a case where it was started as chulin, you need a ma'isa to uplift it to the purpose of kodesh. Okay, so from the get-go you can just designate it, but if it was already chulin, you need something to uplift it later on. Okay, so but once it's uplifted, it has the status of regular hektish. Okay, says the Gemara, right? It says Mishra, remember Yitzchak Sheikh Nolad, Beinu Knolad. Certain things which look like Nolad, but they're not really Nolad. The Chachamim can see the point there. Ketzad, how so? Amar Kohenim Sheni Noisei Plonis. It says it takes a neder, he's not going to marry so and so. Shavia Rakos, his father is a bad guy. The Shver is evil, right? Amalo they said Mace, the Shver died. Also Tshuva, he did Tshuva. So in that case, the assumption is that we can be matzah neder. Similarly, Ploini Shavia Ra. I went back. Kodim l'bayizeh shein nichnas. If a person says he's taking a konom not to enter a certain house, shakel of rabbiso, because there's a rabid dog inside it, and they said to him again, there's a snake inside of it. Normally they said, the dog died and the snake was killed. Harein Kanol, it's like Nolad, but Eino Kanolad. It's like Nolad, but it's not like Nolad, and therefore works. So Chacham could see the point of this Mishnah. How so? What's the issue here? Shmuel Ram Shum Neder Tos. Because here, it's not just it's not just a mistaken impression, it's a mistaken neder. And mistaken neder never takes effect. Is that clear?
Why is it a toss? At the time, the shiur was bad, or the snake and the dog were there.
Yeah, but,
But it was a tanai. It was really a tanai.
we assume he's dead afterward. We assume he's dead right now.
So as soon as the reason why you made the nether disappears because they died or they do tshuva, then the nether doesn't have to take it. Doesn't have effect anymore. The only reason for the nether was because of the bad guys.
Right.
Once the bad guys are gone, so you don't need that nether anymore. So the nether should just fall off. I don't know if it's a toss. It's just
In which case?
either the shiur or the animals.
Yeah, but so he was saying it's better than that. It's a nether toes.
So retroactively,
It's null and void without even a heter chacham. Only chacham be matter because just the toes. It wasn't a nether, it would just be mum butter. It's just a toes, a mistake. That's what the Gemara says. Shmuel mar nether toes for a mace sakelik for a nether noch. It's already dead. Rabbi Ela b'shem Rabbi Elazar said Neshu aside is a different variation of the same thing. Neshu katola nidro the bedover. It's like an eder al tonight because he made a contingent. He stipulated certain things. Oh, that's what you wanted to say is an eder al tonight, not a pesach, an eder al tonight. Oh, that's very good. Okay, so that's what it says. I misunderstood you. Sorry. Neshu katola nidro bedover. Koimer. It's like in condition as follows. Where it says, I'm not going to have any benefit from so-and-so, calls much love as shacharim, as long as wearing black clothes, because I don't like charedim. No, it doesn't say that here in this Gemara. But, so he says, because I love the bunny, mutter boats, and then out tonight, if the guy puts on white clothes, you're allowed to derive handoff from it. Okay? So the same idea here, it's a neder al tonight, not necessarily a neder toast.
So again, in the days of the Gemara, black was there.
But yeah, black was not a good thing, right? What do I mean? See how generations have progressed? What do I mean? Show up tomorrow in a black suit. What do I mean? Mayor says, mostly black ties, or chashim, right? Just station today, black tie optional. Going out to red and white tuxedo. What right there? Where is it? You, did I skip the last line here? Yeah, I skipped the last line. That's critical. The Yerushalmi Nedarim doesn't throw that line in, but the Bavli ends with the kasha. It says, if this is neder tos, didn't we learn neder tos elsewhere in the Masechta? I don't remember where, but we learned neder tos, and where it says, okay, kasha. But I think the teretz is like what the Gemara says here, it comes to tell us the chiddush, they don't even need heter chacham, and that's how the Rambam paskins. This type of neder tos or neder al tonight is so blatantly un-neder-like that therefore you don't need a chacham to be matzah. Okay. Meir said, we open and give a pass over that which says in the table. We say to them, were you to know, you're going to transgress revenge and grudge. And hating your friend in your heart. Loving your friend as yourself. Your brother should live with you. How so? How do you transgress all these things? Because maybe you'll become poor, your friend. So you will not be able to support him. And he says, if a person says, whereas I've known that those are the ramifications, when I see neder, you take a neder, I raise them mutter than he's matzah the neder. Okay? See, it says now the whole halacha here is on the Bible. Do not take revenge or bear grudges against the members of the nation. Hey, Chavidu, what tell you about? When we tell you about well, what's the analogy, I should say? What's a metaphor? It's interesting. Yerushalmi feels compelled to give it a metaphor. It's hava mekata kupa. It's like somebody who's chopping meat. Umacha sakina liyada, and he stuck himself with the knife. So tachs of timcha is going to hit the other hand. In other words, he stuck himself with the knife in one hand. It's going to go back and hit the other hand with the knife wielding hand with his other hand. Is just cause himself more pain, right? So too the human body of Klal Yisrael is integrally connected. Say a similar thing. In other words, even though he did something for which you could bear a grudge, but your bearing grudge is like the right hand bearing a grudge for the left hand, and that's why we don't allow it. Okay? Now that to love your friend as yourself, that's a great principle in Torah. Omer, I got a better klal. Many people are familiar with Rabbi Akiva's when I was Ben Azai. He says, Zeh Sefer Toldos Adam. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. Zeh klal Gomer said, this is a greater underlying principle of the world. And the Mefarshim explained that so it's one of several possibilities actually. One interpretation is that let's switch. I don't like that shot. What is that? I don't like that shot either. The Ravan shot, which is not the Gemara itself, it's only short him. He says shot, it's a nice shot. He says in Malchokas, who's the person loved more, himself or his kid? If we say a person loved himself more, then we say V'ahavta re'echa kamocha. Say you love your kid more, so we say Zeh Sefer told us all that remember there were kids involved here, and they have to be mechabed. So your kid should be mechabed you as well. Okay, so it depends what his topic of conversation is. That's a rabbi. Another interpretation of the Tzin Yerushalmi, a very nice interpretation on the side, is that we say that an individual who well, let's start from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is named Elokim. Elokim is plural. How can we talk about plural when we talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Right? It's apikoursis, right? Right? So Elokim is. So we say that Elokim means master of all forces, right? He's not in the force. The force is not him, but he's the master of all forces. Okay? So if that's the case. You want to say something? No. So if that's the case over here, the Ben Azai wants to say that's true if there's somebody else you have to take into account. Right? If there's somebody else you have to take into account, so then no, it's not what he says. He says like this, he says more very simple. He says the concept of Zeh Sefer told us Adam means that everybody is disparate, yet at the same time everybody comes from Adam Rishon. So to Lo Sikom Lo Sitor, because even though everybody is disparate, everybody is a member of Klal Yisrael. So he's coming to explain actually Zeh Sefer told us Adam means that everybody has to abide by the same principles because everybody is connected to each other as relatives. Okay, is that clear? So I always learned a different shot though. And by the way, it's interesting. The Ben Azai never married. The question is whether that's related to this. Right? I think V'ahavta re'echa kamocha means love another person as your own, as yourself. In fact, it says at the beginning of Parashat Sush, it says the reason why a chassan has to go check out a kala before they get married, he has to actually look at her, is so because of V'ahavta re'echa kamocha that he shouldn't hate her afterwards because she's ugly, right? Ben Azai never married. He held, Zeh Sefer told us all that means, but he had the Shemai, they're going to check out what your Tolados were. And when the Gemara said, Chum Rash at the beginning of Parashas told us of Shel Tzadik is Torah and Ma'asim Tovim. So when he said Zeh Sefer told us all, he didn't mean with your friend you should have more friendly relations. No, and like the Yerushalmi says that just like Hashem seems to be multiple things, but really it's the master of all forces. So too, you can have multiple friends, but they all should be considered to be one with you. That's what Yerushalmi explains it. No, he explains it that it means that greater than to develop your relationship with us is to develop the full potential that you yourself have granted. That's how I think Ben Al is learning.
So it's tolodos, not tolos.
What?
So instead of the word tolos, it's tolodos.
It's really the same word here. Our grammar is faulty, we don't realize it, but it's really the same word. Okay? It says Gemara, Rabbi Zir said, Shemayani, so we said, maybe you'll get poor. That's the type of, so it says, Shemayani lo knower, who's not like Noah. Rabbi Zir said, Anidus Mitsuya, no, poverty unfortunately happens very, very frequently. Kodachad by not a certain individual. Haba Baldine Osir, his co-litigant was very rich. Also by meeting coming out, so they wanted to go the guy who was very poor wanted to go judge the case in front of Rav. So Rav says, so Rav sent for the rich guy. So the rich guy said, who on a boy may say, with this little rump, I'm going to come to judgment. Kach inatun. If all the camels of Arabia come, they cannot carry Kukasaya, the strong boxes, that Putaki today of my deeds, why I have so vast holdings. So obviously he was very rich. So Min Yad, Nava says Gemara, Shama Rumar, so Rav heard this and he said, Mount is Goya. Why is he being haughty? The low lay to hay. Mount is God. The low lay. Why is they proud? So which is not his. Hey, pachsa, but there's going to be a curse in it. Miyad really nafkas kabal kalbasim in malchusa. A pronouncer went out for the king. The Yehu that this rich guy should go. Umadle, he and all his wealth. Would give my own till loss. In other words, to be locked up and throw away the key. So, obviously, he was about to lose all his money when he fell soup. So Gabi Rav. So he came to Rav Amalei, so he said, Sili alive, to heaven for me. Do not, do not shitachzor, that I should be able to go back to all these things, in other words, that these things should not be taken away from me. Apparently, you prove your point, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is paying attention. So I'm telling you, so he died for him, and the stuff came back to him. And everybody lived happily ever after. We can make a pest for an individual via the ksuva's wife. A certain guy, example that a guy forswore all benefit from his wife. And the ksuva is only 400 zuz. The case came from Rabbi Akiva. And he required the husband to give his wife, even though she's a be'ula, a ksuva, right? What?
The full amount.
What?
The full
amount, right? So I don't know if she was a be'ula actually, but the bottom line is that he was mudar anah from her. So he asked. So he has to give her the ksuba. He's going to have to divorce her, so he has to give her the ksuba. So he said to him, the guy said, Rebbe, shmona me'ozuzi niach liyabim. My portion 400 is not enough that I take 200, she takes 200. Let's make a compromise. Amalei Akiva said, baloney. I feel I'm even if you have to sell the hair off your head. Like his Rabbi Akiva's wife did, right? Rachel used to sell the hair off her head. I nice ksuva. You got to give her ksuva. But people used to now. Obama, he said, Rabbi Akiva said, wherever we have a way out. Said Elu he said that way to know Shukain, you have to pay your whole ksuva 400 zuz. Or Yisa Noida, would you have taken, and then Lo Yisa Noida, would you not have refrained from taking a letter of this sort? And he said, because we were afraid, Rabbi Kiva said it's mutter. He was making that based on the fact the guy was registered by paying the 400 Jews. Bottom line, right. Said the Mark, I don't understand. The government in Metaltlin, how are you going to make him pay for Metaltlin? The Ksuba is only collecting from real estate. If there's no real estate, so how is he going to collect from Metaltlin? So in fact, it's interesting, there's a tremendous machlokas here between the Bavli and Yerushalmi. The Bavli and Yerushalmi tak holds that as a result of this question, it's not, we changed the tenor of the Mishnah from Metaltlin to Karkos. I'll tell you about Karkos here, right? It says you're going to have to sell the hair of your head to pay for the Ksuba, that's not Karkos. So he says that you're going to have to, once you get rid of all your real estate, he probably says, that's what you're going to have to live off. You're going to have to live off the hair of your head, right? So the Bavli actually doesn't say real estate. Yerushalmi says it's talking about Metaltlin. Now, there's a big machlokas here, which we brought down by the Amudi Yerushalmi. What happens if a guy wants to divorce his wife because he hasn't made the bear ksuba? Can he divorce her and worry about the ksuba later? Because he can't, the divorce doesn't go through until he pays the ksuba. So the Yerushalmi, we want to say, holds the divorce doesn't go through until the ksuba can be paid. I mean, he can divorce her, but that's evil, because he really should not be allowed to divorce until the ksuba can be paid. The Bavli holds that no, you can write ksuba first, ask questions later. I mean, write get first, ask questions about the ksuba later. So the bottom line here, it says the Gemara, the government Talmud, the Tamar, even you say should be ango to Talmud, don't get it from a Talmud. Amrlo Shitei, we pressure the guy to give from a Talmud, which we can't actually take as a metalton, it's eminent domain, where you can pressure the guy and say, give him a metalton to pay her the ksuba. Because the truth is, it's the lien itself, the lien is on all his property, even on his metalton. Right? That's the nature of a lien. Obviously, the basin only collects real estate because of takonas or shuk, whatever the case is. But we pressure the guy and we say, make life miserable, we call him day and night, and don't give him aliyahs until he actually gives even from his metalton. Okay? Right, Mesha Shaw, Rabbi Mesha asked, Malu or Malu Yorshin, Ligvos, it should mean I'm metalton. What happens if you have heirs? And the heirs, can they collect from the metalton? Now it's talking about there's an Amana who's owed a ksuba. She wants to send the Yerushalmi to collect from metalton. Can they go and do so? Right? Rabbi Amar said no, they can't. They're stuck. They can only go from free and clear stuff, not stuff he personally redeemed. Rabbi Amari, Masisa Amar Kain, the Mishnah tells us, it says, She'ain Omer Lohem, or later on it says the Masechta, it says She'ain Omer Lohem, or somewhere else, I don't know. What's my place? What? She'ain Omer Lohem, that we do not tell the Yorshin that they have to pay from the Talmud. Why is that? Though they can, but they don't have to. Things that we learned over there. Eli Nostu Yorshin. This is a case where there are three liens on the property of the deceased. There's a ksuva, and there's a debtor, and there's an heir. So there we say that the money goes to the heir. Why is that? Because the heir's inheritance is much more direct. Because all of them require shvur before they collect. The heirs don't require shvur. Now, if the heirs, though, could be pressured to give up their metalton for the ksuva of the woman, right, which was still extant, so then here, even if they could get it without a shvur, immediately afterwards we should pressure them to go and give the money, the metalton, to the almana. It must be that we don't, that in this case over here, we don't pressure. We pressure the husband to give money from metalton to the ksuva, but not the heirs. They're not pressured at all. Okay?
So it's not ksuba's plan different.
No, it's not ksuba's plan, which although the Yerushalmi asked for us, they didn't over here, but that's not the issue over here. Why would you think the ksuba's plan different?
It sounds like it. Because the husband's still alive here. So when you're saying heirs,
No, heirs, the husband's dead.
the husband?
Yeah, the heirs of the dead husband. The dead husband left property over.
So
Who gets their property? So we're saying the Yerushalmi gets it, buck stops there, doesn't have to go on to the...
don't they have to? Aren't they obligated to support the wife?
Not for Metalfa. Zonas, yeah, but not for Tzuva. Not for Tzuva. So that's what we're saying. The Yerushalmi don't even... So we pressure a husband to pay his wife Tzuva and Metalfa, but not the Yerushalmi. They're not pressured. Mal Mishbuna. According to the Pnei Moshe explains, do we make the woman take a shvuah that she was not imbursed for the ksuva previously, when her husband took a neder to divorce her? So we say to the husband, you have to pay her for ksuva, and we're going to pressure you to pay for the talmud too. But do we flip the tables and make her take a neder that she didn't get anything? Doesn't want to know. Tamer, I mean, they say over there the colloquialism. Mitavna lo gavoy, gufi gavoy. I didn't collect from the straw. You expect me to have collected from the actual produce? What was she going to get? Her husband divorced her all of a sudden. Even if it wasn't a son, certainly wasn't happy with her. So therefore, it's unlikely she got any property service. She doesn't have to take an oath that she didn't get any property. Okay? Now, so we'll stop here. But this is pretty fundamental Mishnah, because this Mishnah, Gemara. Because this Gemara is telling us a very basic religion in the Bavli and Yerushalmi. According to the Bavli, you divorce first, Ksuva we'll worry about later. According to the Yerushalmi, Ksuva first, then afterwards we'll talk about divorce. And also, again, according to the Bavli, we never shunt them off to Metalfim. It's always Karkos. And our mission is also Karkos. According to Yerushalmi, no, we pressure him to pay for the Metalfim, not his heirs, right? They get to keep Metalfim, but he himself be pressured to pay Metalfim.
So Sham is more woman.
More progressive.